Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Hope you're well, hope you're enjoying our weekend. I've got something that actually helped that weekend be that little bit better, or if you're not had a good weekend, hopefully make it all right. So actually today we've got a bit of a bomber, as they might call it on the Twitter stratosphere. We've signed someone, or here we go, confirmed signing someone. So I'll be talking about that in just a short second. I'll be talking about a potential Kane replacement if he was to leave, and also a former, maybe still current Spurs central defensive target, and kind of the value that it would take to get him away from his club. But let's jump straight in with the first bit of news, and that's the guy that we're signing. I've talked about him before in previous videos, and it went a bit quiet for a few weeks. We weren't sure what was happening, but it's been Here We Go by Fabrizio Romano. And he said, Manor Solomon is Here We Go confirmed, joining as a free agent. If all goes to plan with Shakhtar and the FIFA ruling, medical is scheduled for next week. So obviously, if you're not aware, the situation was he's a Shakhtar Donetsk player who was then had his contract suspended, his last year of his contract suspended, and loaned to Fulham, because obviously what's happening with the situation in Ukraine with what's the war and all that. That sounded horrific, didn't it? But yeah, you get what I mean. And basically they've said, actually, no, that was his last year of his contract. He's going to be a free agent. And we then obviously snuck in and got him for free. Shakhtar obviously want compensation. I think FIFA might give him a few quid just to kind of say, look, let's just leave it there, right? I do think we get him. I don't think it's a matter of that. I do think we get him. If you don't know a lot about Manor Solomon, he is 23 years old. He played at Fulham last year. He's played all around the place a little bit, obviously. He's traditionally more of a left-sided winger, but can play across sort of the three and behind the striker. In the Premier League, he appeared 19 times, scoring 4 goals. Getting his goal, it's like 140 minutes, something like that. So I don't see a lot in terms of, what he's done that makes me scream out to think that he's going to be an outrageous player. Not at all. It makes me think he's probably going to be here for a few years and he's going to be moved on. That's kind of the gist that you get, really. A free transfer, obviously, does that allow you to still go and get a young midfielder? Is Alex Scott still that guy that we're going to go for? Are we still going to potentially get a holding midfielder? We're still going for the 2 centre-halves, I guess it gives you that avenue, and it's another body there for a bit of youth. And maybe when you play for a bigger club, and this is something I always thought about Wilfried Zaha, when you play for that bigger club, do you get less attention given to you, if you know what I mean? So from defensive schemes, when you look at this year, I think people put a lot more attention on Mohamed Salah when Mane was on the side, it sort of, people couldn't just overload one side or focus more so on one winger than the other. Is it that situation where maybe he's now going to have more sort of free reign to run in with? Maybe. It's a player who, he's young. He knows the Prem, which I guess is a nice thing. He can play all across the back, the three and behind the striker. And he's free. I guess that's kind of the things that I would sit there and say. It helps is all I would say. I don't think there's anything to sit there and think it doesn't help, because I do think it does. What we'll sort of see is, I don't know, from him, I don't really know. I don't expect him to play all that much, but it is a Here We Go confirmed. So there we are, guys, a bit of a Here We Go, just to sort of spice up the weekend a little bit. Let me talk about the potential Kane replacement. So obviously we know Bayern Munich want Harry Kane. We've said we're not accepting any offers or what have you, but you've got to have a contingency plan in place. If Bayern came in with an offer you couldn't refuse, it's not The Godfather, anything like that. If we had an offer on the table that we couldn't refuse, what is the plan in place to replace him? It looks like he's been revealed. So obviously we signed Richarlison last year. That was part of the contingency plan. They actually said it was future planning in case Harry was to leave. But it's also a certain Canadian striker from the French league. Gonna pause there for a second. You might get it, you might not. No, Jonathan David. Jonathan David, one of the hottest properties striker-wise on the market. I'm not saying he is on the market, but I get the point there. Very good player, very quick player, very lethal. Has really sort of every year improved quite a lot. I think people think about Højlund. Is it Rasmus Højlund, the young guy? People look at Victor Osimhen, Balogun, obviously, who was at Stade Rennes last year as well in the French league. Obviously, Jonathan David, I believe, is at Lille. don't hold me to that. I always get a few of them mixed up. I'm human, sue me. Every year these sort of players have improved, and he's wanted by big clubs. It's not that he's not wanted. You're never really going to replace Harry Kane. Unless someone like Lewandowski or Benzema had walked through the door, you were never really going to replace Harry Kane. Can you suppress that loss with a player who's going to give you 70% of the output, whilst other players chipping in that extra 30%? Then I do believe Jonathan David could give you that. You know, when we look at Jonathan David, the only thing I think about with Jonathan David is how much is he really going to cost? Because he is a very well-wanted player. He's a player that has done magnificently well for quite a few years. Would he be a player that we could get? Yeah. Would he be a player that's probably going to get a lot of attention elsewhere? Then I'd say yes as well. You know, I think with Jonathan David, being the fact that he's had time in some pretty decent leagues, I think makes a massive, massive difference. I'm just going to bring up some of his stats so you have a bit of an idea. Let's have a look. Right, here we go. So, Jonathan David. Okay, so Jonathan David is 23 years old. Okay, Canadian player, like I said. You know, when we talk about his market value, they reckon it's going to be about 60 million euros. You see, it's a very expensive player. I think it's about 53 million pounds. He's probably going to be more expensive, I can't lie. He's probably going to be closer to the 70 million pound mark, if I had to take a punt on that. So yeah, he has been at Lille. He's been at Lille now for a few seasons. And in the Ligue 1, he's played 112 times, scoring 52 goals and assisting 7. So every year he has sort of improved as well. What I would say, I look at more of Jonathan David as more of like a typical number 9, whereas Harry obviously drops in and gets into the play a lot more. What with Jonathan David would say is he's a hell of a lot more athletic than Harry Kane is. I'm not even going to be rude. I'm not going to mock anyone there. That's just the facts, okay? But just looking on last season, he played 37 games in Ligue 1, scoring 4 times and assisting 4 times. So had a very good season last year. He plays predominantly as the central figure, but can play a little bit of wing if needed. But it really is about being the centre forward. So that's interesting. That came from Ben Jacobs, I believe it was. So that's a bit of interesting news as well. And the final bit of news for the centre-half position is the player that we've been linked to, a Premier League defender from Wolves, Max Kilman. Now, just really quickly, Wolves have just agreed to sell, I think it's Nathan Collins to Brentford for 23 million. So it's not like they need to get rid of centre-halves. Actually, quite the opposite. They probably do would bring another one in. But this came from David Ornstein, and he said that Napoli's had a bid rejected for Max Kilman of 35 million euros. Obviously, if you aren't aware, Kim Min-jae, their centre-back who won Defender of the Season, is going off to Bayern Munich this summer. But what he said was about 40 million euros would get the deal done. So it's near there. If you already see, they're really close to it. Napoli aren't that kind to kind of get bullied in the market a little bit and kind of say, you're paying what we want to pay. Sorry, you're paying what we want. You will do that. Napoli have always been that difficult negotiator. They're a bit like Tottenham in that way. It was just an idea because obviously we've been linked with centre-halves. I know he's not really on the list as much anymore. Maybe it was more of a Conte thing. But it's something that I wanted to bring in just in case that maybe he's still potentially on the list. But he's going to cost obviously more than Mickey van der Ven. He's going to cost something similar to Tapsoba. He's going to probably cost more than Tosin from Fulham. So I don't see it happening, but I thought I'd bring it in there just in case because I know some people have actually asked on that. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. A nice little update for you over the weekend. We have signed someone. Happy days. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Comment about Manor Solomon. Are you happy about this as the young winger that we're getting in? Is Jonathan David the guy that you'd want if we were to get rid of Kane? Is he the guy that you want to come in to replace him? Subscribe if you are new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, lads.